The flicker of a candle is all that separates an empire from oblivion. You see a throne, not of gold, but of shadows, where a figure sits, face obscured, holding a single unlit match. This isn't a story of kings and crowns you were told in hushed bedtime tales. This is the brutal, unspoken scripture of power, etched in blood and ink by those who dared to seize the world and bend it to their will. You've felt it, haven't you? That gnawing sensation that the grand stage of history is manipulated by unseen hands, that the game is rigged and you are but a pawn. But what if I told you that you could learn the puppeteer's craft? What if you could see the strings? This is not an invitation to a lecture hall. It is an initiation into the shadowy corridors where destinies are forged and empires are shattered with a whisper. We will walk through the mist-laden gardens of Florence with Machiavelli, ride through the unforgiving deserts with Saladin, and stand in the war rooms where Napoleon redrew the map of Europe. These titans of history were not born with a divine right. They were architects of their own ascendance, masters of a ruthless game. They understood that power is not given, it is taken. They learned its secret language, its hidden rhythms, and its merciless logic. This knowledge has been buried, fragmented, and deliberately obscured, for it is too potent for the masses. It is a flame that can either illuminate the path to greatness or burn the unworthy to ash. The principles we are about to uncover are not for the faint of heart. They are sharp, cold, and unapologetically pragmatic. They will force you to see the world not as it should be, but as it truly is, a relentless arena of ambition and strategy. You will learn to peel back the veneer of morality and diplomacy to witness the raw mechanisms of control that operate beneath. The choice to proceed is yours, but know this: ignorance is a comforting prison, while knowledge is a dangerous and liberating weapon. The path ahead is fraught with peril, but for those who dare to walk it, the rewards are absolute. Are you content to be a spectator in the grand theater of power, or do you have the audacity to seize the director's chair? The tools of mastery are within your reach, but you must first prove you are worthy of them. This is the first test of your resolve, a simple gesture to signal your commitment. If you are ready to shed your illusions and step into the light of uncomfortable truths, to learn the art of influence that has shaped civilizations, then declare your intention. Prove that you are not merely a curious onlooker. Type the word "I rise" in the comments if you want to enter the secret circle. This journey will reshape your understanding of influence, ambition, and survival. It is a descent into the heart of human nature, stripped of its poetic pretenses. Each law we explore is a key to a locked door, behind which lies a deeper understanding of the forces that govern our world. The faint glow of the candle is beginning to strengthen. The shadows are stirring. The first secret awaits, but it only reveals itself to those who have the courage to look. The world is a chessboard, and the time has come for you to stop being a pawn.
Law 1. The veil of virtue, the dagger of intent. Look closer at the tapestries of history. You see conquerors hailed as saviors, tycoons celebrated as philanthropists, and revolutionaries canonized as saints. This is no accident. The first and most crucial law of power is to master the art of concealment. Your true intentions must always be shrouded in a noble cause. The world applauds the righteous, the benevolent, the liberator. It fears and despises the nakedly ambitious. Therefore, you must learn to wear the mask of virtue while wielding the dagger of intent. Think of the great Borges, who patronized the arts and funded the church with one hand, while eliminating rivals with poison and intrigue with the other. Their public face was one of piety and progress. Their private actions were a masterclass in ruthless efficiency. This is not hypocrisy, it is strategy. Human beings are governed by emotion and perception. They do not respond to your goals, they respond to the story you tell. Your ambition must be wrapped in a narrative that serves a greater good. Do you seek to crush a competitor? Frame it as a necessary move to stabilize the market for the benefit of all. Do you wish to seize control of a political faction? Declare it a crusade against corruption, a fight for the soul of the nation. Napoleon did not declare himself a dictator. He rose as the defender of the French Revolution's ideals, even as he dismantled its core principles to crown himself emperor. He understood that men will follow a flag of salvation into the very jaws of tyranny. Modern corridors of power echo this same principle. Corporations launch vast public relations campaigns about environmental sustainability, while their lobbyists gut regulations behind closed doors. Politicians kiss babies and speak of unity on television, while their operatives orchestrate smear campaigns in the shadows. They understand that the masses are a tide, and the tide is moved by the winds of perception. Your actions can be brutal, but your justification must be unimpeachable. Let your hands be stained with the grime of the battlefield, but ensure your banner remains pristine, a symbol of hope and justice that your followers can rally behind without question. To master this law, you must become a weaver of narratives. Study the language of morality, the symbols of virtue, the archetypes of heroism. Learn to speak this language fluently, even if your heart speaks another tongue entirely. The crowd does not want to see the intricate, often ugly machinery of power. They want a simple, inspiring story. Give it to them. Cloak your every move in the grand rhetoric of progress, security, or enlightenment. Your enemies will be paralyzed, for how can they attack a man who champions the very values society holds dear? They will be striking at a phantom, while your dagger finds its mark in the darkness. Never let them see the hunger in your eyes. Let them see only the fire of conviction.
Law 2. Fear and authority. They will tell you it is better to be loved than feared. They are fools, sentimentalists who have never held true power. Love is a fickle and fleeting emotion, dependent on favors, moods, and the ever-shifting sands of public opinion. It is a gentle rain, pleasant for a time, but powerless in a storm. Fear, however, is primal, consistent, and absolute. It is a foundation of granite upon which an empire can be built. When you inspire love, people will follow you as long as it is convenient. When you inspire fear, they will follow you because the alternative is unthinkable. Niccolo Machiavelli himself knew this truth. He observed that men are quicker to betray one who they love than one who they fear. For love is held by a bond of obligation which is broken at every opportunity. But fear is held by a dread of punishment which will never desert you. To command fear is not to be a mindless brute. Raw, undisciplined cruelty creates martyrs and breeds rebellion. The fear you must cultivate is of a different nature. It is the fear of your intelligence, your unpredictability, and your capacity for decisive, calculated action. Your subjects and your rivals must believe that you see everything, that you are always 3 steps ahead, and that any transgression against you will be met with swift and overwhelming consequences. It is the chilling certainty of retribution, not the spectacle of violence, that truly solidifies authority. The Mongol hordes under Genghis Khan did not just conquer cities, they annihilated a few, completely and utterly, as a message to all others. The terror of their reputation often conquered armies before a single arrow was fired.
In the modern arena, this law is practiced with surgical precision. A corporate leader who makes an example of one disloyal executive through a sudden and public firing instills a chilling discipline in the entire organization. A nation that demonstrates its willingness to use its most advanced weaponry, even once, ensures decades of compliance from its adversaries. They do not need to repeat the act. The memory of it, the fear of its repetition, is enough. Your power is magnified not by the blows you strike, but by the blows you are capable of striking. Let your calm demeanor be more terrifying than another's rage. Let your silence carry more weight than another's threats. You must become the architect of this fear. Control the flow of information to create an aura of omniscience. Use calculated displays of force to remind everyone of your capabilities, but do so sparingly. Let your mercy be as unpredictable as your wrath. An occasional act of clemency will keep everyone off balance, creating a climate of uncertainty where obedience is the only safe harbor. They will never know if disloyalty will be met with a pardon or ruin, and in that uncertainty, you will find their absolute compliance. Love is a currency for entertainers and saints. Fear is the only coin of the realm that never loses its value.
Law 3. Reputation, image, and control of narrative. Before the first sword is drawn, before the first coin is spent, the war is fought in the minds of men. Your reputation is not a mere reflection of who you are. It is a weapon, a shield, and a fortress. It precedes you into every room, every negotiation, every conflict. Law 3 dictates that you must forge this reputation with the same deliberate care that a smith forges a blade. You are the sole author of your story. If you do not write it yourself, your enemies will gleefully write it for you. Your control over the public narrative is the ultimate form of power, for perception, once solidified, becomes reality. The masses crave simple, powerful archetypes. Will you be the wise statesman, the ruthless innovator, or the people's champion? Choose your role and then play it to perfection. Consider the legend of Saladin, the great sultan who recaptured Jerusalem. To his own people, he was the unifier of Islam, a devout and merciful leader. To his enemies, particularly after his chivalrous treatment of the defeated, he became a symbol of noble opposition. He understood that his image was as critical as his armies. By demonstrating magnanimity and justice, he disarmed his critics and won the respect of his foes, making his victories not just military, but moral. He controlled the narrative so masterfully that even his adversaries held him in high esteem. He built an armor of reputation that violence alone could never pierce. In the digital age, this law has become exponentially more potent. Reputations can be built or shattered overnight. The modern Machiavellian understands that the internet is the new battlefield for narrative control. They seed stories, manipulate social media, and create online armies to craft a public persona that serves their interests. They leak damaging information about rivals while curating a flawless image of their own endeavors. Look at the titans of technology. They are not merely selling products, they are selling a narrative of innovation, of changing the world. This story is their greatest asset, insulating them from criticism and attracting legions of loyal followers. You must be the sculptor of your own myth. Associate yourself with symbols of quality, power, and prestige. Be seen with the right people, and ensure your name is only ever attached to success. If you make a mistake, do not simply apologize, reframe the narrative. Cast the failure as a calculated risk, a valuable lesson, a necessary sacrifice. If you are attacked, do not engage in a petty squabble.
Instead, attack your enemy's reputation. Uncover their hypocrisies, expose their hidden motives, and turn the court of public opinion against them. In the great echoing chamber of history, it is not the man who wins, but the story of the man that endures.
Law 4. Mastery of secrets, rumors, information. The halls of power are not built with stone and steel, but with whispers and secrets. Information is the lifeblood of control. What is known, what is unknown, and what is thought to be known, these are the levers you must pull to orchestrate events from the shadows. Law 4 demands that you become a master of secrets and a weaver of rumors. Treat information as your most valuable currency. Hoard it, trade it, and invest it with strategic precision. The more you know about others and the less they know about you, the greater your advantage. A man who reveals his plans is a man who hands his enemies the map to his own undoing. Practice silence. Cultivate an air of mystery. Let others exhaust themselves with speculation. Your ambiguity is a weapon. Think of the spy masters of history, the silent architects of victory and defeat. Sir Francis Walsingham, Queen Elizabeth I's spy master, built a network that stretched across Europe. He intercepted correspondence, planted double agents, and uncovered plots before they could bloom. His power did not come from a title or an army, but from the simple fact that he knew what his enemies were planning before they did. He used this secret knowledge to protect his queen and shatter her opposition. He did not move the pieces on the board. He knew where they would move next, and that made him the true master of the game. While you hoard secrets, you must learn to wield rumors like a sword. A well-placed rumor can sow dissent in an enemy camp, discredit a rival, or create a diversion that allows you to advance unnoticed. It is a weapon that costs nothing to deploy, but can yield immense returns. A whisper of insolvency can trigger a run on a competitor's business. A hint of scandal can derail a political opponent's career. The rumor does not need to be true. It only needs to be plausible enough to take root in the fertile soil of public suspicion. Sun Tzu, in his Art of War, spoke of using false signals and misinformation to deceive the enemy. The modern application is to flood the information channels with so much noise and so many conflicting narratives that your true actions become invisible. To implement this law, you must become a magnet for information. Create a network of loyal sources. Listen more than you speak. In every conversation, focus on what is not being said. At the same time, practice the art of misdirection. Feed trivial information to those outside your inner circle. Reveal small, harmless secrets to build a false sense of trust. This will make them feel privileged and more likely to share genuine secrets in return. You become the central clearinghouse, seeing all, but revealing nothing of consequence. The unseen hand is always the one that guides the blade. Law 5. Building systems that outlive you. You are mortal. Your ambition, if it is to be truly grand, must not be. A king who rules only by his own strength is a fool, for his kingdom will crumble into dust the moment his heart stops beating. True power, lasting power, is not held by a person. It is embedded in a system. Law 5 commands you to be not just a conqueror, but an architect. You must build structures, institutions, bureaucracies, legal codes, and ideologies that function independently of your presence. These systems become an invisible extension of your will, projecting your power across generations long after your name has become a whisper in the annals of history. Consider the Roman Empire. Its true genius was not in its legions, but in its laws and its engineering. The Roman legal system provided a framework for commerce and governance that stabilized a vast and diverse territory for centuries. Their roads, aqueducts, and civic structures were not just marvels of their time. They were the physical skeleton of the empire, a system that promoted trade, communication, and control. Emperors came and went, some brilliant, some mad, but the system endured. It was the system that was the true emperor. Similarly, Ibn Khaldun, the great historian and sociologist, understood the power of asabiyya, or group solidarity, a system of social cohesion that allows a dynasty or civilization to rise and dominate. He saw history not as a series of great men, but as the rise and fall of powerful, self-perpetuating systems. In the modern world, this principle is the bedrock of every major corporation and political movement. The founder of a company may be a visionary, but their ultimate success is measured by whether the company can thrive after they are gone. They build a corporate culture, a brand identity, and a set of operational protocols that become the organization's DNA. This system allows the entity to grow, adapt, and survive leadership changes. Your goal is to create a machine that, once set in motion, runs on its own, constantly accumulating power and influence for the legacy you have established. Your people should not be loyal to you, the person. They must be loyal to the structure you have created. Begin by codifying their methods. Create a clear hierarchy. Establish traditions and rituals that reinforce your values. Delegate authority, but never control. Let others become invested in the system because its survival ensures their own. The system should reward loyalty and efficiency and ruthlessly purge dissent. It must be a living organism capable of defending itself. When you focus on building a structure, you are moving beyond the petty squabbles for personal glory and entering the realm of true empire building. You are forging the vessel that will carry your will into eternity. Do not build a throne that only you can sit on. Build an empire that runs itself.
Law 6. Managing allies and rivals with precision. In the intricate dance of power, there are no friends, only instruments. There are no permanent enemies, only obstacles. Law 6 demands that you abandon sentiment and view every relationship as a strategic calculation. Your allies are not your companions. They are assets to be cultivated, used, and, if necessary, sacrificed. Your rivals are not demons to be vanquished in a blaze of glory. They are resources to be studied, manipulated, and sometimes even temporarily embraced. Emotion is the enemy of strategy. Attachment creates vulnerability. Pity creates weakness. You must operate with the cold, detached precision of a surgeon, understanding the anatomy of every social and political connection. History is a graveyard of leaders who trusted too much and hated too blindly. Julius Caesar was not felled by a foreign enemy, but by the daggers of senators he considered his peers and allies. He failed to see the envy festering beneath their loyal proclamations. Conversely, Napoleon often turned defeated enemies into vassal kings and reluctant allies, understanding that a controlled rival was more useful than a dead one. He knew that today's enemy could be tomorrow's buffer state, and today's ally could be the seed of tomorrow's treason. He juggled these relationships with masterful dexterity, always keeping them off balance and dependent on him. To master this law, you must first understand the motivations of everyone around you. Never be swayed by their words. Look only at their interests. What do they want? What do they fear? Who do they despise? This knowledge is your lever. When dealing with allies, keep them slightly insecure. A dependent ally is a loyal ally.
Never let them take you for granted. Make them compete for your favor. When dealing with rivals, do not be drawn into their emotional games. Study their weaknesses. If they are arrogant, flatter them into making a mistake. If they are greedy, tempt them with a poisoned prize. Sometimes, the best way to destroy an enemy is to give them exactly what they think they want. You must also learn the art of the temporary alliance. Join forces with a rival to eliminate a greater common threat. But as you fight alongside them, be planning the precise moment of your inevitable betrayal. Let them expend their resources. Let them take the greatest risks. When the dust settles and the common enemy is gone, you will be the one left standing, stronger than before. This is not treachery. It is the fundamental logic of power. In the great game, you cannot afford the luxury of personal feelings. People are merely pieces on the chessboard to be moved according to your grand design. The lion and the fox are not friends, but they can hunt in the same forest. Be both.
Law 7. Vision and long-term storms. The world is filled with petty tacticians who can win a single battle but have no conception of how to win the war. They react to the events of the day, chasing fleeting victories and getting bogged down in minor squabbles. They are leaves tossed about in the wind. Law 7 commands you to rise above this. You must be a strategist, a visionary who sees beyond the immediate horizon. Your gaze must be fixed on the decade, not the day. You must have the ability to foresee the coming storms, the economic downturns, the social upheavals, the technological shifts, and prepare for them while others are still basking in the sun. This long-term vision is what separates the ephemeral ruler from the enduring legend. Think of the great nation builders. They did not simply conquer, they envisioned. They saw the shape of a future nation and laid the foundations for it, even when those foundations were invisible to their contemporaries. They planted trees whose shade they would never enjoy. They built institutions whose true value would only be realized a century later. Their power came from their ability to subordinate all short-term temptations to a single overarching goal. While their rivals were celebrating a minor triumph, they were already calculating the moves for a game that would unfold over the next 20 years. They understood that time is the ultimate weapon, and patience is its sharpest edge. Mastering this requires supreme emotional discipline. You will be tempted to react to insults, to seize immediate profits, to crush a minor annoyance. You must resist. Ask yourself of every action, how does this serve my ultimate goal? If it does not, it is a distraction, a waste of precious energy. You must be willing to endure short-term losses for long-term gains. You must be willing to appear weak, to retreat, to concede a small piece of territory if it positions you for a decisive victory in the future. The crowd, with its short attention span, will call you a fool. Let them. You are not playing for their applause. You are playing for a prize they cannot even comprehend. Cultivate sources of information that give you insight into long-term trends. Study history, not for its stories, but for its patterns. As Ibn Khaldun taught, civilizations move in cycles. Understand where you are in the current cycle. Are you in a period of growth or decay? What forces are rising and which are fading? Position yourself to ride the wave of the future, not be crushed by it. Your vision must be your compass, keeping you on course through the inevitable chaos and confusion of the present. It is the secret architecture of your every move, the silent justification for your every sacrifice. A captain who only watches the waves will surely sink. The true master watches the stars.
Law 8. The mastery of rhythmic force.
power has a rhythm. It is a tide that ebbs and flows. The amateur tries to force his will upon the world relentlessly, exhausting his resources and creating endless resistance. He is the battering ram that breaks itself against the fortress wall. The master understands the rhythm of action and inaction. Law 8, the final hidden principle, is to control the tempo of events. You must know when to strike with the terrifying speed of a falcon and when to wait with the unmoving patience of a serpent. This mastery of timing is the ultimate expression of strategic genius, for it allows you to achieve maximum effect with minimum effort. Sun Tzu spoke of this in military terms. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. This is the core of the law. Sometimes the most powerful action is to do nothing at all. Give your enemies the space to become overconfident, to make mistakes, to expose their weaknesses. Let them exhaust themselves fighting phantoms you have created. Your patience becomes a weapon, lulling them into a false sense of security. They will mistake your inaction for weakness, your silence for defeat. And at the peak of their arrogance, when they are least expecting it, you will unleash a decisive, overwhelming blow. The victory will be so swift and so total that it will appear to be an act of magic. Conversely, there are moments when hesitation is fatal. When an opportunity presents itself, you must act with ferocious and uncompromising speed. Do not allow your rivals time to think, to regroup, to call for aid. As Machiavelli advised, injuries should be inflicted all at once, so that, by being tasted less, they offend less. Your strike must be a force of nature, a sudden storm that shatters the enemy's plans and morale in a single brutal instant. This calculated aggression creates a reputation for decisiveness that will instill fear and prevent future challenges. The ability to shift from absolute stillness to lightning speed is what keeps your opponents perpetually off balance. To master this rhythm, you must be a supreme observer of human nature and social currents. Detach yourself from your own ego and impatience. Is the situation ripe for action, or does it need more time to develop? Is your opponent strong and prepared, or are they distracted and vulnerable? You must learn to feel the pulse of power. When you wait, wait with purpose. Use the time to gather information, to consolidate your resources, to let internal divisions rot your enemy from within. When you act, act with finality. The fool is always in a hurry. The master controls the clock. You have walked through the corridors of the unspoken. You have stood where titans of history made their brutal calculations. We have dissected the anatomy of power, stripping away the skin of morality to reveal the cold, hard skeleton of strategy beneath. The 7 laws and the hidden 8th are not a collection of historical anecdotes. They are a living blueprint. They are the invisible architecture that supports every throne, every corporate empire, every movement that has ever shaped the destiny of mankind. This knowledge is now a part of you. You can no longer look at the world and see a random series of events. You now see the strings, the levers, the calculated maneuvers behind the grand stage. This is a dangerous gift. To see the world this way is to be forever separated from the blissful ignorance of the masses. You will see the hidden intentions behind every noble speech, the strategic positioning behind every act of charity, and the raw ambition behind every handshake. Some, upon receiving this knowledge, shrink from it. It is too cold, too cynical, too demanding. They scurry back to the warmth of their illusions, content to remain pawns. They will forever be subject to the will of others, tossed about by historical currents they refuse to understand. They chose the comfort of the prison. But others, the few, will feel a fire ignite within them. They will recognize these laws not as a foreign language, but as the native tongue of their own ambition. This knowledge will not be a burden, but a set of keys. It will empower them to stop being the effect and become the cause. They will begin to see the world not as a fixed reality to be endured, but as a malleable substance to be shaped. They will start to make their own moves on the great chessboard, no longer reacting but orchestrating. This path is not one of ease or comfort. It is a path of constant vigilance, emotional discipline, and ruthless pragmatism. But it is the only path to true agency. The journey does not end here. It is only the beginning. These laws are the foundation. Now, the intricate work of application begins, the mastery of their subtle interplay in the complex arena of your own life. You have been given the map to a hidden world. What you do with it will define your legacy. If you've reached this point, you're not like the others. You have the focus and the hunger that this knowledge demands. You are ready to step out of the audience and onto the stage. Subscribe now and join the secret circle of power.